Hi everyone, and welcome back to another video on living our ascension. You're with me, Shruti, and in this video I want to speak about what ascension symptoms are. So when we start going through our process of Kundalini awakening and this higher energy starts to move in the body, then we start experiencing some unusual things, because basically our DNA is opening up to a higher consciousness and that's getting activated. But the thing is that whenever I mention, on my Facebook page or in my videos, whenever I'm doing an update and I mention that we're experiencing ascension symptoms, like we are currently also, because I made a video about this. The last video was about how a galactic portal opened up because of Saturn being in the galactic degree of Sagittarius, and you can watch that if you want. You can find it on this channel. But whenever I mention ascension symptoms, I always get comments from people describing what they're going through, and they ask if what they're going through are ascension symptoms. That's why I thought that this video might be helpful to some of you out there, because to be quite frank, what I find is not all the time, but in a lot of the cases, when people are describing what they're going through, it has more to do with physical ailments, and the frequency of disease. So it doesn't mean that it has to be something drastic, but ascension symptoms are a completely different frequency from the frequency of disease, and we have to be really honest with ourselves as to what is going on in the body, because the process of Kundalini awakening happens only then. Nobody in the history of time has gone through a Kundalini awakening and really started coming into their self-mastery until they were very honest with themselves what was going on, because it begins with this process of coming into ourselves, what we call healing or holing, and that is all about facing the truth and looking at something as it is. So I would really recommend you to be very honest with yourself, and often what happens is that people are going through certain challenging things in their life, like something related to their health or in their life, and they have things that are suppressed, and all of us do, but the thing that differentiates someone who starts going through that ascension process and gets on the ascension timeline versus somebody else who is just on speaking about ascension topics and trying to project something else that they're going through to a higher state of consciousness. The difference between those two is facing truth. So I really thought that if I make this video with some specific points, then you can see for yourself and evaluate, because the process of self-mastery is this. We have to be truthful and do the inner work very sincerely and in a very humble way. The process of self-mastery is humble. So basically, how ascension symptoms are different from physical ailments is that they can be very unusual and unexplained. So for instance, when people start having these Kundalini awakening experiences, it'll be something very strange that happens, like it'll be an ache in some part of your body that is otherwise fine. Like a few days ago, my jawline was experiencing some pain, and I was wondering why, and then I realized that it's because of these higher influxes. But they will be happening. It has an eccentric nature. It'll come and go also, and the reason for that is that ascension symptoms, they're related. This is point number 2 now. First is that they are very eccentric. They're kind of unexplained. If you go to the doctor, like if you have a fever-like sensation of burning up, and you go to the doctor, and the doctor won't be able to place it because it's an energetic thing. It's not a physical thing. So ascension symptoms have this nature of being eccentric, and then they are more energetic. So they have more to do with energy rather than the physical. And then the third thing is that they happen due to heat. So any symptom that is related to ascension, it begins with this higher light moving into us, and it's kind of like, higher light has this lightning like quality, so it burns whatever it touches. So we can have these laser like sensations on the body, and often it'll happen through the spinal column, especially when new pathways are opening up for receiving higher light, for receiving higher guidance, and just allowing spirit to flow through the body. When this happens, then when higher light comes in, then it makes its way through the body through this laser like burning effect. It's almost like it's burning its way in, it's making that pathway, energetic pathway in the body. And when you go through aches and pains because of this, it's not related to imbalance in the body, and that is because the earth is constantly going through an upgrade of energies in this new age, and there's always higher influxes that are coming in every day actually. But there's certain portals and certain energetic gateways we go through when this is more active, and this is when we will feel it, and we will be we all have a chance during these portals to open up to that accelerated shift within us, just like the earth is going through it also. So this is why, because every time that new light enters, it has a even higher frequency than the body is used to. So the body has never experienced that level of light within it, and this is why when it first hits the body, the new light, it can cause these aches. But the difference is that the moment that we just surrender to that light, and we don't have this constriction or this trying to withhold from the light, the moment that we do that, by being with the breath, by being present, and if first of all you do it like that, when you go through some symptoms, some energetic symptoms, then you be present with the breath, and you just open up that area wherever you're going through that energetic burn. You open it up and you just surrender, and light knows what it's doing. It finds its way in. The only work that we need to do is to just open up and surrender when we recognize that there's something going on. So then the other thing is that ascension symptoms don't last very long. They have a tendency to come and go, because again, it's not happening because of a physical ailment. When it comes to anything related to disease, it happens because over time we have suppressed something, so let's say in your childhood something happened and you experienced some strong emotion, and it was too much for you to deal with, so you suppressed it, and then that became a pattern in your life, and it carries forward, in all of these situations. And so again, it's something that we need to see, that we need to address, because now we are no more the same child that experienced those things. And often we don't even need to go back and see what the reason was. If we are just present with what's going on now, any aches related to disease, and we just allow it to surface, it will reveal to us, something that we weren't seeing. And really, do that inner work within yourself. But this video is not really about that. I just want to speak about the difference. Ascension symptoms will not stay very long because of this reason, because they're not related to suppression. When you suppress something, it's not, you haven't gone to the core of what is causing it. If you just take a medicine and that just numbs the feeling, and you stop feeling that pain, but the root cause is still there. It's like grass, I mean, unless you take a plant out from its roots, it will grow back again like weeds. So the root needs to be addressed in that way. And ascension symptoms, however, because they just cause that initial heat, so they will do it for a while and then they will go. So they have this eccentric nature of coming and going, and this burnout effect. And the thing is that if you are going through ascension symptoms and the Kundalini awakening process has started, you have already entered the ascension timeline in a grounded way, then you've already you're already in that energy. You are starting to work with energy within yourself, so you will be able to recognize, even if not immediately, but you will know that this is something energetic and it's not like a physical ailment. And it can be confusing in the beginning. Like I remember when I first started experiencing ascension symptoms, sometimes there were things related, I felt like this congestion in the chest, or the heart would flutter, almost like a feeling of when you skip a beat. So in that second, you can wonder what's going on, but you will know, because it'll feel more energetic rather than something physical. And again, if it persists and you go to the doctor, they won't be able to place anything, because again, it's an energetic thing. So the way then to deal with ascension symptoms, if you're going through them, is to be present, surrender to this light. And then I want to give you some other tips also that you can do. You can go out into nature. The tips are very obvious actually. And being out in nature, like I'm here, there's trees and there's mountains all around me, and this whole area is bigger than me. This being is bigger than us, so we will naturally have a tendency to align with its energy. And the energy of nature is balance, because it lives in that natural way, aligned with the natural cycles. And we ourselves, humans, were formed through the natural cycles also, but the way we have made our society, we have forgotten how to live in a natural way. So when we spend all day just at home or in the office, then we are within these mass energies, and especially during these portals, people will get triggered. When higher light enters, it's available equally to everyone. So that's why even in the masses, it'll try and make its way in, but then when we suppress it, when we have this blocking effect, it'll cause some turmoil, but it won't find its way in unless we consciously allow that to happen. So this is when light, when it comes in, it triggers everything that is not like itself, that is of a lower vibration. So all of these unhealed things will come up, and this is a time when the masses will be releasing in that way also. So if you as a being who is working through their process consciously, who is on the path of self-mastery, if you are just at home and in office all day, then you might have a tendency to absorb these energies. And of course, there's way to protect yourself even when you're indoors. And when we are truly grounded, we create this vortex within us. So no matter where we are, we can experience that same high level of being in our source. But still, I would say that being out in nature is not just important but essential for anyone who is devoted to ascension. And when you come here, not only is it replenishing and it puts us back in that state of our original balance, but also these higher codes will come through, because again, we are aligned with nature's natural cycles. So for example, when I come here, and I'm just walking or going hiking or something, then suddenly I will have these knowings of what's coming, and then I can bring it through in my work, what energies we are integrating now, because you are naturally more attuned to the cycles, and you will be feeling it, all of you will be feeling it in this way. So there's a lot of integration that can happen in nature, and our path of ascension, our path of coming into our higher self can be greatly accelerated when we make this something that we do every day. So that's about nature. Then because ascension symptoms are related to heat and this laser like effect, so of course drinking water can help with that, because water has a cooling effect, and then it has it brings things into flow. So when light enters and it's doing that integration within your body, then it can allow more flow when we are near water bodies or we drink water. But even if you're not near a water body, just coming out into nature will help a lot anyway. Then when we have these, ouch, this is a bit uncomfortable, I'm on a log of wood, and when we go through these portals that activate higher energies, then we also do a lot of work in our sleep. So when we're sleeping, our guides will be present with us and going through these upgrades, which is why we can wake up feeling really exhausted. And I often wake up with this feeling of like a train hit me or something. But you will find again that this is energetic, and that's the difference between ascension symptoms and other things, is that in one moment when I just wake up, I'm feeling like I'm so exhausted, but after 5 minutes after I've awoken, then I'm going about my day normally, because it's not a physical thing. So yeah, that's the difference. And if you are feeling more exhausted than normal, there's more fatigue, then we have to make sure that we give our body what it needs. And part of coming into our self-mastery is becoming one with the body, becoming one with the breath. And once we do that, then our body starts speaking to us, and we know exactly what it needs. So when you're feeling overwhelmed, then you may be guided to rest, and it's important to do that. But the other thing is, this is what I was saying, that it's very eccentric, because when light comes in, we often also start feeling more hyper, and we might be guided to do things. There will be some moments where we are guided to just rest and we're feeling tired, and then when light is integrating again in a different way and there's more light coming in, then we will feel that fiery energy, and then we need to channel it also. So we can do creative things, we can do physical things, especially out in nature. It is really good for that, and often that is the time when we can, when new things open up, our new talents will open up, because fire wants to make its way through us, and when fire is trying to make its way through us, it's like spirit is trying to do something through us, and often the talents, the new things that we are drawn to, or what we find ourselves doing creatively, are birthing something new that is related to our soul's mission. So yeah, then the last thing that I want to mention, which is very important, the last difference is that ascension symptoms lead to an ecstatic state. So it's this really high level of energy, and you'll feel completely blissful, because when new light comes in, it's at a higher frequency. And even though it triggers us in the beginning, because we think of light as something very soft and wow, but actually light is related to truth. So the only time that we are open to fully open to receiving light and it enters the body is when we are willing to go through that those triggers of truth, those challenges that come with the frequency of truth. But once we do allow that integration process, and it starts to change our cells, and that integration, often it takes a few days, but then once it fully lands within us, it opens up just this blissful state, and we feel ourselves embodied in the physical body in just such a blissful way, these frequencies that we have never experienced before. We would be feeling freedom at a new level and bliss at a new level. So of course that doesn't happen if it's a disease. When you are having some symptoms that are related to unhealed things, that we are not fully facing yet, then it's not something that leads to a state of ecstasy. So I think basically that's what I wanted to say. And quickly to recap, the differences is: number one, ascension symptoms are different from body ailments in that they are unusual, they are unexplained, they might happen in unusual areas, they're energetic rather than physical, they don't last very long, they have a way of coming and going, and our body will be behaving a little bit different. Like I was saying, you might need rest, and then on the same day again, after a few hours, you want to do the complete opposite. You have a lot of energy and you want to go for a jog. And ascension symptoms have to do with heat and that laser-like feeling of burning up. And then the last thing is that they lead to a state of ecstasy and bliss in the body. So I hope that this video was helpful in differentiating between what you're going through. Please be really very honest with yourself, and this is part of the path of self-mastery. This is part of enlightenment. Often we look at people on the internet who are sharing these spiritual truths, and we think that if we are going through something of a lower nature, then there's something wrong with us. But this is not true, because anyone who is truly in their self-mastery, and for us to go into our self-mastery, it never happens unless we have all gone through that state, where the light leaves us completely on our knees, and there's often a lot that we need to face and be truthful about, and these things exist in all of us. So don't be ashamed of what you are and where you are in your present journey. And I can promise you that we often have these ideas in our head that I will reach a certain goal in my enlightenment, and then everything will be fine and blissful, there'll be no problems. But it's not about this at all. No matter where you are in your journey, it'll always happen the same way. There will always be something new to integrate, there will always be something coming up and something that we need to face. So if you're not subscribed to this YouTube channel, then you can do that here by pressing this button. And if you would like some help on your ascension process, I have a lot of readings and different kinds of services, and you can click here for that. And I will see you next time, hopefully soon.